What's up, everybody? So apparently, Martin Scorsese is really putting things on the assembly line to make as far as movies is concerned, and there's seems to be no slowing down for this man. And it's this one I think it was interesting because so a couple not too long ago there was the news that he's going to do a Hawaiian crime drama with Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Leonardo DiCaprio. And I thought, okay, this is really interesting. It's like he's staying in his wheelhouse of doing, crime and gangster movies, but then adding in somebody like The Rock, who was, mainly family movies as of late. And now he's coming out with The Smashing Machine, which is a way more dramatic term, but is looking really, really good. Now comes the news that he's doing this movie called Midnight Vendetta, which is about how the Italian mafia came to the United States back in 1890 via New Orleans. And I really love this news. It's like I don't think he's slowed down an inch. The quality of his movies has not gone down at all. It's interesting when I see, interviews with Quentin Tarantino when he's talking about how, you know, it's very common for directors, their skill level to kind of diminish as they age. But Scorsese is one of the few that he is the exception. It's like him and Spielberg, I think, still are going strong in their very storied career, you know? And so if you got it in you, keep going. Keep doing this, as Martin Lawrence said a very, very long time ago, ride this motherfucker till the wheel falls off. And he's definitely doing that, and I'm loving it. I'm all for it. And one of the things I remember back in the day when I was in college, my university library had the 5-part documentary series called The Personal Journey with Martin Scorsese through American movies. Very interesting because, it was kind of unexpected because when I'm watching it, I thought he's going to talk a lot about his movies that he had made so far up until then. And a lot of the other movies, that are kind of basically canon as far as, the big names in movie making history. But that's not what it was at all. He was talking a lot about these lesser known movies that deserve mention. And even I think that's when his foundation, I don't know whether it was formed around that time, began restoring these movies because, in his eyes, like they're as important as, Gone with the Wind or, Lawrence of Arabia, The Godfather, all these, iconic movies that we hear about. But there are also these, way lesser known movies that deserve mention. And he tells a really interesting story at one point where he talks about John Ford, where John Ford, walked into this kind of meeting or convention or like group of other directors and he says, "Hi, my name is John Ford and I make Westerns." Now, John Ford made a whole lot of Westerns, but it wasn't the only genre that he limited himself to. And I think the same can be said for Martin Scorsese. It's like he makes gangster movies. Can he make great movies like Age of Innocence and Hugo and, Cape Fear? Absolutely. But there is a style and sensibility that he brings to the gangster movie that is unique. It is part of what he does best. Even Wolf of Wall Street, you can kind of say is like kind of a de facto gangster movie. It kind of follows that same trajectory as the protagonist in his gangster movies. But I like that he's like, no, I like doing this. I do this best, so I'm going to just keep doing it. And so I look forward to that, Hawaiian crime drama with The Rock. I'm really looking forward to this. I like it when he takes a historical approach to some of the movies that he does. I remember seeing a documentary not too long ago about this man who basically was the one that exposed what the mafia was, its hierarchy, the way that they do initiations, all of this, an Italian gentleman. And then how he kind of lived out his life, really just kind of, a shell of his former self. And I always thought like that would be a great movie for Scorsese to make because he hadn't really done anything, talking about that part of, a gangster's life. And as well as having an historical angle to it. But If he doesn't make it, I'm fine. I'm loving everything that he's doing so far, and I look forward to this one. What about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.